Hello, and welcome. Oh no, my music. Let's see, music B. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah. That's the good stuff. That's what people love. Welcome to year 8. We're playing the Germans. I just moved. I wish there was a way of like showing arrows on the map. Like we're pushing into Poland. We've emptied Ukraine into Belarus. We're stepping into Russia, the big conquest here. There is the potential for a counterattack, but not so heavy handed that we're actually that worried about it. Geez, if anything, we're really gonna isolate this off, and Japan can really start to focus elsewhere. Hitting into Persia, which is nice, relaying some planes back to Germany, and even retreating some tanks, which I think people might be a little bit surprised to hear. But really, we want to make sure that if the British dropped 8 men in France, and America dropped, another 7 men, and then the British, because America goes first in terms of the German turn, or wait, no, the British go first, then the Americans can land their planes on it. But I don't think the Americans have any planes left in the area. I think they've pretty much sent them all out to this I was gonna say Pacific fleet, but really South American fleet, as Japan has really iced the waters. We've done a really good job positioning fleets to just, not allow them to connect. If they wanted to, they could go the long way around the world, but that would take 3 turns just to get to East Indies. In that time, we would consolidate, we would see what they're doing, we'd bring more planes and bombers to the front line, and we'd say, nope, can't come in this zone or we'll SWAT you. So, good stuff for us. Lots of planes here by the British, but if they continue to act like they have, they're going to get overwhelmed on the ground because they just don't have enough factories. They are not, they have the transport capacity now. Finland and Karelia is going to be like a hard point for us, but that's fine. Anyway, so attacking the Russian front, taking back France, and even dipping into Persia while retorquing our troops back into Poland just to secure the core of our empire. Let's hit done. Belarus. Sick. They didn't even get hit back. Persia, are they going to get hit back here? No. Novosibirsk. They did hit us here, but this is probably one of the safest places. France. Again, we always send 2 people up here just in case they do hit us. And yeah, nice. That was pretty smooth overall. These planes coming back to Belarus, like I said, 4 planes now in Germany, bomber in Belarus. So we have got 4 planes here, 4 planes here. Little bipolar defense, 2 poles, 2 hard points of troops. And now we're going to throw some madmen down to keep the pressure up. We could get fancy and start putting boats in the water and stuff, but I'm okay with the enemy having naval supremacy right now. It's all right. It's fine. Let's not get cocky, kid. Done. We can't use the Russian factory. For reasons. Let's just turn that down just a wee bit. Can't use the Russian factory because we just took it over, but I think throwing 4 men down in Belarus, 1 in Italy, and this is why I left 4 men in Germany, just to make sure that we're good. The British have a ton of planes, but right now they're in India. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They cannot use these bombers. I should have done that count beforehand, but they just don't have enough planes. These 3 fighters, plus this bomber, plus a battleship shot. Oh, they don't even have that. Well, anyway, we're safe for now. And let's hit done. See what the enemy does. Germany has lots of money because when you take the Russian capital, you get all the Russian money. So we got like an extra $15 there injected into our economy. The British are bombing us like mad. They are invading Italy and France pretty heavily. This is exactly why we rotated the tanks. Or at least 3 tanks back over. They did lose a bomber to the anti-aircraft gun. That is incredible. Did we just choose to take the AA gun as a casualty? I think we did. And we ended up... These British bombers attacked my stacks of infantry, they're going to lose $24 worth of industrial capacity to kill one infantry, at best 2, which is worth 3, at best $6. They're, in the best case, losing a 4 times multiplier with their assets right now. That's incredible. It's funny because I would say that they probably, if it was a human, misclicked. Like, they obviously meant to bomb Russia, in which case they had a 1/3 chance of losing 1 plane and upside of doing double the damage that they had the potential of doing with that roll. It's actually incredible what just happened. Like, I genuinely feel like the AI made a mouse click error. That's insane. That is insane in the membrane. I guess we're good, eh? We can put a couple guys in a Venki just to have the ability to move at different times, I guess. But really, the Germans can handle this artillery piece. Well, it could move into a Venki, so that's why I want to be able to take it back. But quite frankly, I think we'll be fine. And then the American fleet is being held at bay currently. We can keep that up. Right now, we're a bit worried about the Philippines. Again, they can now move this entire fleet forward. They don't have the bomber threat, but they can move a battleship forward with some stuff, which means that we're a little bit thin to unload and hold Solomon. I don't know. Part of me thinks we're fine, but I wanted to take Western Australia, which involved moving the fleet here. I mean, it's just a battleship and a plane, really. Like, the 2 aircraft carriers are not that bad. And these things are so far away that they can only really threaten New Zealand, which, if they want to sacrifice their fleet for New Zealand, I'm pretty much okay with that. Okay. Let's have a discussion about the Japanese, but I think it's going to be as simple as attacking into Burma, mounting up troops, and then possibly consolidating into 2 fleets facing west, just so that the AI decides, maybe we will come back, and then we'll have to re-break out into 2 fleets, one facing west, one facing east. But yeah, I'll see you in a second. All right. So let's talk about this. First of all, the 2 navies collapsed into 2 groups, both with a fully loaded aircraft carrier, several destroyers, several subs, though the Southern Fleet has the battleship and cruiser. Those battleship and cruiser, like before, we picked up the men in New Guinea and Australia. It's a guaranteed kill in Western Australia. The whole Pacific, all the islands, with the exception of Midway, are in our hands. We have done it. It's all on us. So great stuff, awesome times. They can come back to New Zealand, but if they do, they're in for a school of hurt. It's really not that much in this fleet. Though, honestly, I could probably go for getting 1 more sub to the Southern Fleet in case that happens. Because here, this is 4 hit points on top of the aircraft carrier that's fully loaded. Whereas they have 2 aircraft carriers, a plane. They don't have any backup fighters. Most of the American Air Force is over here. The British one could attack separately with this destroyer, but they can't attack together. 1, 2, 3, and they shouldn't have Burma. They might have Burma. Okay, maybe they can attack with the British Air Force here and here. But once that Air Force is done, they just lose. So I don't think that we're that worried about it, quite frankly. If the British lost all their planes next turn and I lost this fleet as Japan, I would be in an okay spot. I'm actually buying 2 more planes this turn. Not to mention all the ground forces. And the land war in Asia is over. So let's accept that. We're pushing into Burma, bringing men into Indochina. We're not deploying men into Japan. We're going to unload East Indies and Borneo, and perhaps even make a move on India if they don't threaten our fleet and they back up, like I think they will. Because then we can bring 2 men from Australia, we can bring 2 men from East Indies, and we can bring 2 men from Indochina. That's 6 men, a battleship shot, a cruiser shot, all kinds of planes and bombers. we'd have the destructive force necessary to really force the issue. Not to mention, we might also have the Japanese tanks coming around from Kazakh. That's an interesting proposition as well. So without further ado, we also have a couple infantry just kind of threatening Evenki in case that is something that they're going to push us back on. Let's hit done. So Western Australia, you are boom boom. Did you kill our man? You did, you monster. So that makes that 2 men here a little bit less ideal. I mean, it's fine because you could have 1 extra man from Indochina before going to East Indies. So 2 men on this island would go to 2 different transports. It's fine. And then Burma, easy. They didn't even hit us back. So Indochina, loving it. Loving it. Imperialism, again, negative thing. Imperialism, even modern day imperialism and neocolonialism, not great. But in this campaign, it is absolutely the way of the world. Japan should be allowed to have an empire. The West has one. Let's hit done. Yes. Yes. Oh, I did buy an extra infantry. In Japan, you were lucky. You're going to get a ground force to defend you. Good luck. I could have made some of these planes bombers, but I still think that this is good. In fact, these planes can go 1, 2, 3, 4 next turn and land on an aircraft carrier. So this sea zone defending Japan India is under threat. Let's hit done and see what the enemy, the allies, do. America has a big turn ahead of itself. They're buying more men, more transports. They're bringing more men into Africa. Holy crap, bringing more men into Africa. It's a good thing Africa is literally the last place on our Axis crusade. Though that's not true. Technically, we haven't made any threat at the Western United States. Japan could follow back on that, but looks like exactly what we thought was going to happen. The Americans are putting a little bit more pressure coming into the sea zone, though they let their ground forces leave. So this fleet can literally do nothing other than maintain like a dominance. They'd have to build new transports and new men in Western United States, which if they had done it this turn, would have actually been an interesting strategy that I would have expected a player to do. Because then, as Japan, I'd be forced to regroup in the Carolines. They could take this fleet, put it back up into Sea Zone 56, or even, well, because the Carolines, the fact that we can always come back to the Carolines is insanely good. But because from the Carolines, there's so many ways of striking at Hawaii, Solomon Islands, and every sea zone that matters. But even from here, if they had put things in the water, those transports and men, next turn, they could move their entire fleet to here and then load up on top of it, right? But then I'd be in the Carolines and I would be threatening that. It's hard to say. Hard to say. With Midway, they could lose their aircraft carriers first, though, because they have a place to land their planes if things go wrong. It's just an interesting dynamic position if the rest of the world wasn't falling so quickly to the Axis. So, I hope you enjoyed. We'll see if we can wrap this up next turn. America didn't take the plunge. Again, they don't know that I'm not willing to sink their undefended convoys, but, like, if I was allowed... Oh. In fact, there might even be arguments made against the German Luftwaffe, like 1, 2, 3, go sink this. But there's nowhere for them to land. Never mind, I can't do that. Unless I bought an aircraft carrier, which would be hilarious. Though I don't even know that I could deploy an aircraft carrier unless I destroyed this transport first. And that's a whole... Look, I'm sorry. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Ciao for now.